All right, welcome everybody to kind of a renegade broadcast of Simply Cyber's daily cybersecurity threat briefing. First things first, I'm your host, Gerald Auger, and normally at 8 a.m. In the mornings, we carve up the top news stories of the day so you can execute on your role, whatever it is in cybersecurity, effectively and just absolutely kick butt and dominate. So we're going to get started in a few minutes. I always like to run this countdown timer. If you're here right now, good on you. I figured lunchtime might be a good time to knock this out today. Hey, Pamela, glad you could make it. It's going to be a less chatty audience today, I suspect, as this is, quasi renegade. I'm going to try to get some music up here in a second. Let's see what this is. Ambient gold. Give that a shot. Let me know if you can hear that, Pamela. Very excited. I know there's only 12 of us in here, and chat's popping a little bit. Very excited to say that I've decided to start marketing Simply Cyber a little bit. I really enjoy the first things first format, and I know that I share with all of you to ask to share with your audience, but I really feel compelled to let people know about this. So over the next couple months, InfoSec Live, which is like the social media platform for professionals in the cybersecurity industry, is going to start having some Simply Cyber branding thrown up on their platform and a couple of commercials and stuff like that, really focused on highlighting not just Simply Cyber and the great community that we've built, but also the First Things First morning broadcast. I feel that compelled and motivated to share this briefing with everybody. So I hope you're good. Michael Taylor, good to see you. Lupe, thank you. Hey, y'all. Mike B, you cyber noob? Okay. That's all good, man. Everybody's welcome here. Everybody is welcome in the Simply Cyber community and, frankly, the cybersecurity community. There's a lot of great communities out there within the cybersecurity community, right? Like Cyber Insecurity is a good one. Black Hills is a good one. TCM, the Cyber Mentor, his community is excellent. Hackersploits, there's so many good ones out there. When that timer gets down to 0 in the corner, we'll get started with the news briefing. So if you're watching this on replay and you're wondering when are we going to start, you could just scrub up to the 0. Hey, Jax, good to see you. Hey, Pamela. Nice. Yeah, we're going to get into some stories, get you set up for the weekend. You guys are on the inside track since this is kind of an unscheduled broadcast, right? Good for you, Vibster, getting that master's degree. You know the best thing about a master's degree? Never expires. You never have to renew it. You never have to pay maintenance fees on it. And it will be with you forever. You'll always have it once you've earned it. So congratulations to you as you start on that path. Mike, you're in the golden age of cybersecurity education resources. There's so much out there for you to take advantage of. All right, let's get going. And Mike, this is one of those resources. Now, guys, if you want to play along, you can jump over to cisoseries.com, and look at the daily headlines for February 11th. That is where we will be driving our show today. So let's get into it.
Series, it's Cybersecurity Headlines.
It's Friday, February 11th, 2022. Donation site for Ottawa truckers' Freedom Convoy protest exposed donors' data. The donation site used by truckers in Ottawa who are currently protesting against national vaccine mandates has fixed a security lapse that exposed passports and driver's licenses of donors. The Boston-based donation service Give, Send, Go became the primary donation service for the so-called Freedom Convoy last week after GoFundMe froze millions of dollars in donations, citing police reports of violence and harassment in the city that violated its terms of use. TechCrunch was tipped off to the data lapse after a person working in the security space found an exposed Amazon-hosted S3 bucket containing over 50 gigabytes of files, including passports and driver's licenses that were collected during the donation process.
Interesting. So a couple things here. the protests and the vaccine mandates and all that, that is important as a topic, but it's not what we're talking about when it comes to cybersecurity. What this is this is a an exposed S3 bucket to the internet. We've talked about this on the show before. If you're going to have S3 buckets, you have to know if they are publicly exposed or not. And if they are exposed, which sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's okay for them to be exposed. What is in there? Who has access to what? How can you access these things? So it's kind of gross that a financial related site that's set up for taking in money and obviously storing massive sensitive PII like passport numbers and all these other things, that they didn't have the due care or due diligence to actually properly configure their infrastructure. It's kind of sad. I feel bad for the people who were trying to support a cause, whether you're on the left side or the right side or the A side or the B side. If you're investing, if you're donating to support a cause that you believe in, you should have some level of assurance that your privacy will be protected. So I find it interesting that the security researcher notified TechCrunch as a news outlet instead of notifying the financial company or the donation company that had the actual flaw. So that does sound a little bit like a hacktivist.
Fritz Frog botnet returns to attack healthcare, education, and government sectors. Fritz Frog is a peer-to-peer botnet discovered in January 2020. Over a period of 8 months, the botnet managed to strike at least 500 government and enterprise SSH servers. Written in Golang, it is decentralized in nature and will attempt to brute force servers, cloud instances, and other devices, including routers, that have exposed entry points on the internet. In total, 24,000 attacks have been detected to date, and 1,500 hosts have been infected, the majority of which are located in China. The botnet is used to mine for cryptocurrency, and healthcare, education, and government sectors are all on the target list. The malware is also being prepared to hone in on websites running the WordPress content management system.
Okay, so this is quite interesting. Two things going on here that I think is worth sharing. One, I talked about this on stream yesterday or the day before. This is basically crypto mining, right? That this botnet, its entire function is to mine crypto. And it's so much more of a long play, high value for the attacker or the criminal, whatever you want to call them, because as I mentioned earlier, crypto miners, they're like gnats. Like, they're annoying, but they don't rise to the level of immediate attention. Ransomware, which is that big payday, does get everybody's attention. And sometimes you don't get paid if you're ransomware, and sometimes you do. And it's a whole thing. With the crypto miners, you can make as much as ransomware with like significantly a material amount of less risk of being like an indicted, right? And two, of even having your malware taken off of the endpoints that are compromised. So that's interesting thing number one. Interesting thing number two, this thing is attacking SSH or secure shell, which is basically a network connection that administrators use to get into boxes that are remotely. Secure shell is a secure protocol. Everyone uses it, okay? Especially like on Linux machines, like that's typically where it's used. Secure shell is not compromised or weak. What is the problem is it's weak credentials. It's having password 123 or winter 2022 or whatever. Guess what, people? If you're watching this right now, there's 29 of us here. Maybe this isn't true for all of us because we're cyber professionals, but most people in the United States typically have an 8 to 12 character password. This might be you. Your first letter is capitalized. The rest of your password is lowercase letters until you get to a number, which is probably 2 digits. And then you end with an exclamation point. I'm not a magician. I'm not a mind reader. That's what the majority of people make their password. Okay. So guessing passwords, there's a whole list of banned, obvious, easy, silly, regularly used passwords that everybody, including attackers, know about. And then there's easy to guess passwords. And if a password's been used in a data breach, also there. So these secure shell servers, it's not that the protocol is weak, it's that they have crappy passwords. And oh, by the way, not behind multi-factor, obviously.
If you use Zoom on a Mac, you might want to check your microphone settings. Mac users running the Zoom Meetings app are reporting that it's keeping their computer's microphone on when they aren't using it. The issue appears to affect the native app running on the current macOS release, Monterey, in which Apple has implemented a visual cue to alert users that an application or device is accessing their microphone or camera via an orange or green dot in the menu bar, respectively. Users began complaining about the issue after Monterey was released late last year, and on December 27th, Zoom put out an update that was meant to address the bug, stating that version 5.9.1 quote, resolved an issue regarding the microphone light indicator being triggered when not in a meeting, end quote. However, it clearly hasn't fixed the issue for everyone as of yet.
All right. I mean, that's interesting. I'm a little confused. I'd have to read the article. I mean, is it like when you end the meeting and you still have the Zoom app up that your microphone's hot, and then like is the audio of the microphone going to Zoom headquarters? Is it like when you're on mute, the microphone, like, I didn't get this too much. It sounds like there's an update available. If you're on Apple, if you're on Monterey, be aware of this. Like I said, I'd have to get a little bit more information on where is the audio going, right? That's the real question. And you can always just mute your microphone, so this isn't a big deal, but it's something that you definitely want. If you are a Zoom shop and you have Apple users, which by the way, a lot of times you could be a Windows shop, but the executives want Apple computers. That's not uncommon. And guess what? Executives get exceptions. They write the checks. They get the exceptions. So if your organization has people doing sensitive talks, like, closed room talks, mergers, acquisitions, product plans, marketing strategies, and they have Macs, you may want to check this out. Again, I don't know the full extent of what this vulnerability looks like, but that's what comes to my mind when I see this immediately.
An increase in regserver32.exe in Microsoft Office documents. This is according to threat research company Uptycs, UPTYCS. regserver32, that's REGSVR32, is a Microsoft-signed command line utility in Windows which allows users to register and unregister DLLs. This makes it easier for other programs to make use of the functionalities of the DLLs. Threat actors can use regserver32 for loading COM scriptlets to execute DLLs. This method does not make changes to the registry, as the COM object is not actually registered but executed, and is a technique often referred to as squibbly-do, which allows threat actors to bypass application whitelisting during the execution phase of the attack kill chain. The full report that includes indicators of compromise is available at the Uptycs website, uptycs.com.
Okay, a couple things here. One, I want to say 100% right. Brandon Poole saying that you really shouldn't even use passwords for SSH. You should use certificates, public-private key. He's 100% right. Secondly, what's up, Brandon Poole? It's been a minute. I'm really happy to see you in chat. This guy, you want to talk about people who understand blue and detection engineering and SOC analyst work, Brandon Poole is the man. Great to see you, Brandon. If you got any thoughts about this particular story, Brandon, since this is right up in your wheelhouse too. So guys, basically what they're saying here is that bad guys are using regserver32 to kind of launch their malware and reach out to C2 servers and do all sorts of other things. So PowerShell is calling that, based on this graph, instead of PowerShell calling, CMD or PowerShell reaching out. And it's just like another level of obfuscation. Since Brandon's here, what I would suggest is taking advantage of detection engineering to tune your security tools to look for behaviors around regserver32, calling out to weird servers, right? Or calling unusual processes. This is a legit Windows DLL. I'm pretty sure it's a DLL. Yeah, it is. Anyways, it's a legit application on Windows, so it's you can't just ban regserver32 from working, but just know that there's an uptick on bad guys using it to launch stuff, and this might be something that is actually regularly done, and I didn't know about it. But for me, this is threat intel to either if you're more advanced, you can have detection engineers tune up your SIM a bit, or you could just be aware of it and talk to your MDR or anything like that. I got to give props to the to the technique. Squibbly do, like that's a fun one to say. Definitely at the SOC. Looks like we got a squibbly do here. Johnny, let's go check it out. All right. Yeah, there it is. Brandon saying it's an executable that's a core part of the OS. So, Brandon, was this technique, Brandon? I feel like this has been used before. This isn't new, but correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know in chat here if Reg Server 32, because I've seen Reg Server 32 before, kind of in my limited incident response experience. So I'm not sure if this is just calling it to attention or if it's just an increase in the use cases of it.
And now a word from our sponsor, Datadog Framework. Download the brief today. To learn more, go to datadoghq.com/CISO. That's datadoghq.com/CISO. Spain dismantles SIM swapping operation that emptied bank accounts. Spanish national police have arrested 8 suspects allegedly part of a crime ring that drained bank accounts through email, SMS, and social media DMs that all spoofed victims' banks. The suspects obtained sensitive personal information needed to impersonate the victims and deceive phone store employees into issuing new SIM cards with the same number. Finally, of course, they used the victims' phone numbers to obtain the one-time passwords that protect e-banking accounts, access them, and promptly drain them.
Okay, so this is not a new attack. This is basically doing SIM swapping, I suspect, so you can, either reset a password to a bank account or get multi-factor SMS text messages to a user account. Either way, taking advantage of SIM swapping, which basically means that a phone that I have as an attacker, your phone number gets ported to my phone, and now I'm getting your text messages, and I can, do all the things that would be as if this having the phone is a piece of authentication. What's interesting to pull this attack off, it used to be easier for threat actors to trick like AT&T phone store, Verizon phone store operators to just like, oh, hi, my name's Brandon Poole. I'd like to change my phone to this one because my phone fell in a toilet. And in reality, they're smarter now. So now what they do is they walk in and they say, they don't say this, but it's essentially like, oh, you make $15 an hour, which is like, say, $400 a week, which is like 30 grand a year. How about I give you $30,000 right now? And they don't even go that high, but let's say I give you a year's salary right now if you do this SIM swap, no questions asked. You can say that I tricked you. You can say I socially engineer you. You could say you had no idea. Here's 30 G's. Just look the other way. And then I've got access to, I don't know, like Elon Musk's, like to reach here, Elon Musk's bank account. And then I just take out $1 million, right? Which covers my $30,000 investment. That particular scenario is probably not going to happen, but you get the idea, right? You get the drift. So good. I'm glad these people need to get caught. So other people are reluctant to do that.
WordPress plugin PHP Everywhere can be exploited to execute arbitrary code. Experts have found 3 critical remote code execution vulnerabilities in the PHP Everywhere WordPress plugin, and all these issues have received a CVSS score of 9.9. This is a plugin that allows WordPress admins to insert PHP code in pages, posts, the sidebar, or any Gutenberg block to display dynamic content based on evaluated PHP expressions. It is used on over 30,000 websites. Experts have pointed out that the patched version 3.0.0 only supports PHP snippets via the block editor, which means that users that are still relying on the classic editor have to uninstall the plugin and choose another solution for using custom PHP code.
Okay, so listen to me. If you're going to run a WordPress site, you have to know that this thing is like Flash from 10 years ago, right? Like WordPress is notoriously easy and functional, extendable because of all these plugins people make. But the more code you stick on your platform, the more attack surface you're introducing. So if you're running PHP Everywhere, the CVSS score of 9.9 is like 10 is the highest you can get, and they go in increments of 0.1. So this is just under complete dumpster fire. Okay. So you want to get this fixed ASAP. A lot of times people will, it's so easy to put a plugin on WordPress. You just like click, like plugin. And then you dabble and you're like, oh, I don't like that plugin. I don't like that plugin. I like this plugin. And then you don't disable the plugins. So you might actually be running a WordPress site that's completely grossly exposed and you have no clue because we don't use PHP Everywhere. I haven't seen that. But if you go back in the admin console and you look at all the plugins you got logged in, you might have PHP everywhere. So, the PHP everywhere is just one that can call your attention to. But if you're running a WordPress site, you really need to practice good hygiene on keeping it up to date, keeping it clean, keeping the plugins that you actually use patched, keeping the ones you don't use off the server, doing that. WordPress is notoriously not holy, but it's notoriously got vulnerabilities and stuff like that. And it's always hosting a website. Who knows what's on there? Is it a front end for something bigger? It's a whole thing. Just if you're going to use a WordPress site, understand what the responsibility is that you're taking on. Okay.
Industry reports highlight the most recent and successful cybercrime activities. According to ESET's Q3 threat report covering September to December 2021, that year was defined by the continual discoveries of zero-day vulnerabilities powerful enough to wreak havoc on enterprise systems. The discovery of zero-day flaws in Exchange Server and Microsoft's emergency patches to resolve the on-premise issues continued to haunt IT administrators well into the year. Brute force and automated password guessing, such as through dictionary-based attacks, were the most frequent attack vectors detected according to ESET telemetry. Attacks against remote desktop protocol increased by 274% during the 4-month period. In addition, the 2022 ransomware threat report from Cyhunt identifies ransomware as today's most common type of malicious software, with over 150 terabytes of data stolen by ransomware groups from over 2,800 victim organizations. The Cyhunt report also breaks these numbers down by criminal gang, with Revil topping the charts with 44.1 terabytes and 282 victim organizations, followed by Conti and Ragnar Locker. It also identified the domain extensions most attacked, which unsurprisingly are .com, .org, .net, .edu, and .gov, with the USA, the UK, France, and Canada being the most attacked countries worldwide. ESET's report is available at welivesecurity.com and Cyhunt at cyhunt.com. That's SYHUNT.com.
Okay. I feel like that was a very subtle product placement. I don't know if you guys got that vibe. I mean, yeah, there was some data and metrics on 2021's, but it was like a popsicle headache trying to digest everything they were saying. One thing I'll point out, these industry reports are good, but you've got to remember, ESET is a company that sells antivirus and firewall solutions. They are heavily motivated to outline how risky everything is, right? They are not objective. Right? I mean, you can be objective with the data points and stuff like that, but they're going to highlight the things that best illustrate why you would need a product like theirs. The one report that I absolutely love and I can't recommend enough annually is the Verizon Data Breach Incident Report. That report, as far as I can tell, is incredibly data-driven, objective as can be, and it's actually written with almost like a tongue-in-cheek kind of way, so it's actually not dry and boring to read. It's actually quite enjoyable, frankly, to read. So the Verizon Data Breach Incident Report. I'm not sure when that comes out, but it's annual, and you guys could check that out. Although the last couple of years has been not as great as it has been in years past, but I digress. Okay, so that's gonna do it for our episode of First Things First, which was really more like middays First Things First, or lunch with Jerry, or whatever you want to call it. Guys, I really, really appreciate it. Kind of working with me as I was able to work this live stream in today. If you do enjoy this and you want to share it with some other people, just give them this link, okay? simplycyber.io/FTF. And they can they'll get dumped right in here. I've got some awful music playing right now. Hold on, guys. That'll work for them. And then obviously, if you want to keep the conversation, go on over to simplycyber.io/Discord. We're over in there having a good time. Again, you guys look forward to seeing some promotional stuff on InfoSec Live or info-sec.live, the social media platform for the cybersecurity industry. I'm going to start putting some marketing stuff over on their platform, hoping to reach a broader audience and let people know about the work we're doing over here at Simply Cyber and about the morning threat briefings. Again, it was awesome seeing you all today. Thank you for taking time. Brandon Poole, mad shout out. Really, really glad to see you in chat. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you Monday morning. Cheers, everybody.